Hello and welcome to You Sew You. My name's Zoe and this is my channel about all of the crafty bits and pieces that I get up to. This week I've got some knitting for you, I've got some sewing, I've got some spinning, I've got some cross stitch and a little bit of diamond painting. So welcome back to all my returning viewers, and to any new viewers a very warm welcome. I know quite a few people have come from the basic spindle spinning series of videos, which has had a really good response, and there's actually more videos to come in that series, so keep your eyes open for that. I've got lots to get covered today. It's been a few weeks since I've done a roundup of the things I've been working on, so let's get started. First of all, what am I wearing? Well, I have on my Winterfjell. This is a sweater pattern by Skein Knits. It isn't a cardigan, it's actually a pullover pattern, but I decided to steek it into a cardigan. If I was making it as a pullover, I probably would have gone up a size, to be fair. It is knitted out of Holst Super Soft, and I have added in the contrast colours to the cuffs. I also repeated that on the hemline, which I know you can't see, but if you pop over to my project pages on Ravelry, there is a picture there of it. I've also got the contrast colour coming down the button bands. I get a lot of wear out of this. It is a little bit more what they call rustic. The wool's a little bit more toothy than your superwash, but I don't personally find that an issue. It is soft to the touch, just toothier than superwash. Superwash is super soft, as most of you know. But yeah, I really enjoyed knitting with this yarn. It did take a little bit of getting used to knitting with the spinning oil still in the yarn, but once you get over that, it's fine and it washes out. I actually blocked this in the washing machine. I was following Skein instructions, though I say instructions. Skein explained what she did with her Holst Super Soft when she blocks her sweaters, and I followed the same process. So I put it on, I believe it was the wool wash, it may have been the delicate, it was one of the two, about 30 degrees, gentle wash cycle, and then pinned it out like I normally do to block. Since then it's just been washed like the rest of my knits. It's been soaked and then left out flat to dry. It hasn't felted at all from putting it in the washing machine, but I'm not going to take the risk of repeatedly doing so. At least I don't have a tumble dry to worry about. So that's my knit of the day. Next up we have finished objects, and my goodness, there's been a few. As I say, it's been a few weeks since I've done a roundup. I think it's been about 6 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, something like that, since I did a roundup for the end of March. So these are all the things that I've made in April and the beginning of May. My first finished object for you this time round is my Minerva Makes project. Minerva sends me some fabric for free each month, and I then make a project and write a post for their blog about it. I'll put a picture of the item here. This time round I was sent some black denim. It's a nice stable woven fabric, so it's quite easy to work with. And I decided I wanted to make a transitional jacket for spring and autumn. So I used a pattern that I got free with a magazine. I extended the length by a couple of inches, but I forgot that meant I needed to grade out the hips as well. Means I can't wear it closed, but I can wear it open, and as that's how I normally wear my jackets anyway, that's not really a problem. So I used the wrong side of the fabric to add a bit more interest to the make, and I added some lace strips to the top of the pockets that I added on. They weren't in the pattern, but the patch pockets are easy enough to add, and I added some embroidery to zhuzh it up a little bit, as plain black denim can be a little bit less personal. So I used an Amy Ray book of Woodland Creatures, which is an embroidery transfer book, but being black denim, the iron-on transfers don't really work on that, so I traced the patterns onto tracing paper like I trace out my patterns for sewing, and pinned them onto the fabric and embroidered through it. And once the embroidery was done, I then removed the paper, and it worked really well, and I'm really pleased with the end result. I did have some of that fabric left over, so that went into my scrap stash and then came straight back out again. So I made, with my scrap stash, some project bags. So I made one with yellow contrast top stitching and one with orange top stitching. I actually made 4 of these, but 2 have been gifted, so they are on their way to their recipients, and I'm hoping they'll have received it before I post this video. It should be arriving today, so yeah, hopefully be there first. I've also used scrap stash to line the inside of these project bags. So the 2 that were gifted were lined with an old pillowcase. This one has been lined with an old shirt. It used to belong to my mother. She donated it to me and I wasn't really getting much wear out of it, so that went into my upcycling scrap stash. And this one has been lined with some canvas that I had in my stash that's been left over from some old projects. So these project bags, they are box bottomed and they'll be great for socks, for shawls, for hats, for that sort of size of project. They are prototype project bags. I don't currently sell project bags, and there are some tweaks that I want to make to the design of this. So that's those. And that's the end of my sort of sponsored section, as it were, because that's all I've made with the fabric that came from Minerva this month. I do have some socks to show you. Those of you who are long-standing viewers will know I've been taking part in Sock Madness this year. So that started in March, and we've now done 4 rounds of the qualifier plus 4 rounds, and there are, I believe, 2, maybe 3 rounds left. So we're down to 10 people in each team, as you put into teams of about 40 people at the beginning in March, and then it's a knockout within your team to see who's going to represent your group for the final round. So we are down to 10 people. I am through. I got through in 6th place, and next round there's only 5 places, so fingers crossed I make it through to the next round. It's going to be pushing it. But the most recent round, as they are on the blockers, was this pair of lovely socks. They are cable and lace, and what's the name of the pattern? I'll put the name of the pattern on the screen because it's escaping me at the moment. I have knit these out of West Yorkshire spinners in cinnamon stick. So it's a plain neutral colour. There's even cabling on their heel flap. These fit fine. They are slightly shorter than I normally knit my socks, but not by much, so they are absolutely fine. So take those off the sock blockers, and I'll be putting another pair on this pair of sock blockers in a minute. Move those socks out the way. The next pair I have to show you is another pair of Sock Madness socks. This was the round before the one that's just finished. Again, the name escapes me, but I will put it on screen for you. These were also knit out of West Yorkshire spinners, this time in the Peony colourway. Again, we've got a lace and we've got cables and we've got twisted ribbing and we've got beaded cuffs. So these were hard work to knit. They were hard on my wrist because of all the twisted stitches and the cabling and what have you, and I do have a dodgy wrist. For those of you that don't know, I had a cycling accident a few years ago, landed on my head and my left wrist. Always wear a cycle helmet, guys, I'm proof. But my wrist's never really sort of healed properly since, so I like the socks, and if I wasn't knitting them at a time it would have been fine, but because it was for a speed knitting competition they were quite hard work. Again, these ones fit nicely, and I'm quite pleased with those ones. So these ones with their slip stitch under the foot heel flap and their round toe are going to sit over there, ready to be put away after I finish filming. And I'm going to put another pair of socks on the sock blockers. Oh my goodness. This pair of socks is another Sock Madness socks. This is for like so this will be the 3 last rounds that I am now showing you. And these are also knit in West Yorkshire Spinners wool, in their signature 4-ply, as the last 2 pairs of socks were. These ones are called Echoes from a Transylvanian Forest, I think. Again, the name of the pattern will be on the screen. And these were knit in black, or licorice as it's sometimes referred to on the websites, and the colourwork has been done in the self-striping passion fruit cooler. I love these socks. I think they are absolutely beautiful. However, I had to go up 2 needle sizes to knit these, and they are a larger stitch count than I normally knit my socks. I still can't get them on my right foot. I can battle with them to get them on my left foot. My right foot is ever so slightly bigger. There just isn't quite enough space here to get them over my heel. So these beautiful socks, I could give them away, but I don't want to. So I'm thinking there may need to be some sock surgery happening to put a bit more space in the heels of these socks that I can wear them, because they are beautiful and I really want to wear them, even though it's nearly summer and it's going to be too hot for socks soon. I love these. My final pair of socks for this video. I'm going to go on to my other sock blockers. These are Mina Phillip Knitting Expat design. They were the final design in the Season Sock Club. As with my other Season Sock Club, actual season socks rather than the bonus candy stripe ones. These were knitted in buttoned up and pinned down. This time it's the Misty Morning colourway. So if you remember from early on, just before Christmas, I ordered in the yarn for this sock club, because I knew it was coming up. I knew there's 4 pairs. I ordered in 4 sock sets, all from the same dye. So these are the Autumn Bark socks. So they've got this lovely rippling barky pattern up the top, all done with knit and pearls. They have got a garter stitch short row toe and a garter stitch short row heel, and they are comfy and cosy and lovely. And that's the completed Season Sock Club. I do like Knitting Expat's designs. I knit quite a few of them. I've done a few test knits for her, so she does pop up from time to time. And she will be popping up in a minute as well. So keep tuned for that. My other finished objects, my only other finished objects, are actually some spinning projects. So I spun and did ply on the fly, so chain ply, with some rolags from Clara Rose Crafts. It was the St Patrick's Day colourway, and it just turned out like this. It is a quite chunky, well, probably around a worsted weight, maybe Aran. No, maybe probably Aran to chunky, actually, looking at it. I need to do wraps per inch on this. It has been washed and set. There's a bit of sparkle in here because there's some sari silk. The actual breakdown of the fibre content can be found in my hand spun stash on Ravelry. I do like the result. I'm not sure what I'm going to knit out of it or crochet out of it or weave out of it. I do like it. I did find the rolags better to spin than the other rolags that I had. For those of you who have seen my previous videos and saw the red and green rolags that I struggled with because of the distribution of the non-animal or plant fibre, the man-made fibres in there, I found them a bit of a struggle to spin up. These ones were easier. I think the distribution of the fibres was more even, so there wasn't like the sudden lump of nylon or polyester in the middle of your more natural fibres. But there is obviously, there's sparkle in there, there is obviously some things in there that are maybe not naturally found. I believe there's some sari silk in these and that sort of thing. So yeah, I really like it, can't wait to see what it grows up to be. And that one is all ready to go, so that is all set and everything. Put that one down there, so I don't need to do anything with that anymore. My other spinning project, in fact that one is the one that I was winding on the Niddy Noddy in the Basic Spindle Spinning series. My other spinning project you will be very familiar with if you've been watching my spindle series, because this is the yarn that I was spinning up in the first 2 videos. So this is a 2-ply, and it is Merino and Stellina, and it's turned out in this lovely minty silver colour. I bought this fibre from Freya Jones, which is my local spinning and weaving shop down in Stoke Mandeville. I'm not sponsored by her, but I do think it's fabulous that I have a spinning and weaving shop, and I will not cease saying that. I think it is amazing. So yeah, it's very sparkly. This one still needs to be soaked and have the twist set. It's come out to, yeah, again, probably about an Aran weight, but again, I need to do wraps per inch. I'm going to wait until I've set the twist to do that. It is obviously thick and thin in places, but that's hand spun. Again, don't know what this is going to grow up to be, but it's lovely. So that's all my finished objects for this time round. And on to works in progress. Okay, so first up, let's talk Tunisian crochet. Tunisian crochet is obviously another form of crochet. The technique is basically the same, you're just putting the hook in different places. I have done a little bit of Tunisian crochet before using my Tunisian crochet hooks, which are basically the love child of an old straight knitting needle and a crochet hook. You can also get them with cords on the end, but these were the ones I could get for like £2 at Amazon. Whole bundle of them as well, so I've got loads. The Tunisian crochet project that I am working on at the moment does not require a proper Tunisian hook. You can do it on a normal crochet hook, because it is the short hook style of Tunisian crochet. Oh my goodness, my hair's just all over the place today. Keep catching my eye in my I set up my camera in front of me and then I mirror it onto my computer because I'm using my phone. I don't have a flip screen on it, and the front facing camera, the one that points away from you when you're on the phone, is better than the one you use for selfies. So I use that and I mirror it on my camera. So I do keep looking over this way to check that you can see what I'm showing you. And I just keep catching my hair, which is looking, it was fine before I hit record. Okay, so Tunisian crochet. This is being done in the short hook technique. This particular pattern is by Ava Neat. I will put her name on the screen because it's in the traditional Irish spelling, so it's not how it sounds if you are not an Irish Gaelic speaker. I am using a mixture of different yarns for this project. It is a shawl project and it was done as like a crochet along for Woolen, which is coming up in June, I believe, in Dublin. So it is crochet in sections. You start with this section here, which I've done in this variegated yarn, which is Painted Desert. So Knitting Fever Painted Desert in Peridot colourway. So it's an Australian wool made in China. But I bought that from the Spotted Sheep, which is my local yarn shop in Leighton Buzzard. This section and this section are both in a set of minis. I want to say Manos del Uruguay. Pretty sure they're Manos del Uruguay. They are merino silks. And this colourway here, this stripy colourway, is some leftovers from a sock project. It's a hand dyed yarn. I'll put the name of the dyer on screen for you. And I've got another couple of colours of this, so I'm just going to rotate the stripes. There will be 14 wedges in total and then a band across the top. So it's a relatively shallow shawl. I've got a couple of friends who are also working on the shawl and we were talking about it. It is a relatively shallow shawl. So I may, depending on how deep it is, once I've got all 14 wedges on, I may consider doing like extra height on the band at the top. But I am enjoying it so far. I've been waving the wrong side at you. Just turn it around and show the right side to you. With Tunisian crochet you do get a different texture to normal crochet. This is using mainly simple stitch with some eyelet rows, and this section is lots of eyelet rows. It's almost the arrowhead lace pattern that you get in Tunisian crochet, and then the little frill at the bottom is short rows, but it's done on the wrong side, so you get the right side on the wrong side and the wrong side on the right side. So yeah, Tunisian crochet is very, very versatile. You do need to use a larger hook to what you would use for normal crochet to get the same amount of drape, but there are some amazing textures and there's loads of different types of stitches, the basic one being the simple stitch. There is a Tunisian crochet knit stitch, there is a Tunisian crochet purl stitch, so you can make your Tunisian crochet items look knitted. So yeah, it's a really exciting form of crochet if you're into sort of stitch variation and things. So there will probably be more Tunisian crochet to come. I am very much beginning my Tunisian crochet journey, but there will be more projects. Actually, for Harry Potter's Quidditch match, I made myself a face cloth out of 4 squares of Tunisian crochet stitches that I sampled. That's in the bathroom, so I'm not going to show it to you now. But I'll put a photo here. And that was made out of cotton that was left over from a cotton tee that I knit up last year. So you can see some of the variety of the stitches, and that was just some of the basic ones. There's a rib stitch in there, there's I think it was a herringbone or a honeycomb pattern in there, there's a goblin stitch. I'm probably not saying that correctly. It's not goblin like the bank in Harry Potter. So yeah, it's a particular texture. It's not even spelt like the guys that are on the Green Gots. Maybe it's Gobelin. It looks kind of French. Probably, let's go with Gobelin. But yeah, it's a really versatile technique, so there will be more Tunisian crochet to come. And then my next project to show you, I have had this yarn since spring last year. I've had the pattern since about then as well, whenever it was released. It's a Mina Phillip pattern. Expat I was told you there was more of her to come. She's living in my Alice in Wonderland Clara Rose Crafts project bag, which I love. And I am knitting it in Mirasol Sulca Legato, which is a 60% wool, 20% alpaca, 20% silk. It's quite a neutral shade of sort of browny beige because I wanted a neutral sweater. And I am knitting the Parisian Dreams pattern, which is a bottom up in the round sweater. It is plain stocking stitch on the back, and then on the front, I'm trying to get this straight so that you can see it, there is this sort of chevron-y, lacy cable-y patterning going on, and then a twisted rib at the bottom. I am enjoying this knit, but I've been squirreling somewhat, so that's why I haven't got very far on it, because I've been going off down little rabbit holes and doing all sorts of other things. But I am enjoying this knit. I've got no rush in it, we're nearly into summer, so I'm not going to need another jumper probably until the autumn. So yeah, that's where I'm at the minute, just a few inches up from the bottom. So I'll let you know how I get on with that. I'm hoping to have it finished, possibly not this month, hopefully by the end of June, July, so that it's ready for the autumn. But hey, if it's not done till the end of August, beginning of September, that's not really an issue, as I'm hoping we're going to have an actual summer this year. It's been warm for a couple of days, so we might have had it already, but let's wait and see. And then, what else? What should I show you next? I'm still on works in progress. Let's show you. Let's go with this. I used to do an awful lot of cross stitch. I haven't done cross stitch for a long time until fairly recently. I'm going to show you what I've got so far. I am doing a bit of a combination of parking and not parking. It's not a full coverage cross stitch pattern, but that's what I've got so far. I'm working on the first quarter of my project. I'll show you the picture from the packet in a minute so you can see what it's going to look like. These are not needle minders, by the way, at the top. I'm using them as needle minders. They are magnets I have stolen from my fridge. I do find when I tip it that way that they don't always necessarily hold the needle on, so when I put the project away, as I've got cats running around and all sorts and I don't want needles flying all over the place, I am tucking my needle in the fabric, in a bit that's going to be covered up or a bit that's going to be in the frame or what have you. But when I'm waiting to rethread it, I'm putting it here. It is on my El Bassi seat stand, which I probably should have waited to show you until we're on Stashquisitions, but I'm showing it to you now, so hey. I am starting to, I used to stitch in hand, sort of in hand. I liked using the hoops. I don't get on very well with Q-snaps. I find them too bulky for me, and I find that they don't really hold the fabric taut enough for me in the corners. So I don't particularly like the Q-snaps. I prefer a hoop or a scroll frame. I have no idea what my scroll frame is. Probably in the loft somewhere. But I was finding, again, with my wrist issues, that it was quite hard work on my wrist to support it whilst this arm was doing all of this. I wanted to have a go at doing two-handed stitching, which means I'm using there's a lot less movement going on. So it should be easier on my wrists and my elbows, and it means that I can then rest my wrists and my elbows between knitting and crochet projects by doing something like this, because they're not moving as much and they're not having to deal with holding the weight of a project. So I bought the seat stand. I ummed and ahed whether or not to get it with the versatile clamp, which is what I actually went for, or to get it with a hoop already in it. You can buy them with the clamp, you can buy them with an individual hoop, or you can buy them in a set with 3 hoops. Obviously the prices vary. The cheapest option is to go with the clamp. So that's what I ended up going for in the end, particularly as I already had some hoops. I will be swapping out my hoops for the Albassi hoops on the stalks eventually, then the clamp will be used for frame, for the more the scroll frame type thing instead. But you can just easily change them out. So it just slots in and then you do the bolt up. You can then reposition it, you can flip it over to get to the back of the work without too much hassle if you need to. But as you can probably tell, I am starting and finishing my threads on the top of the fabric now that I'm doing the two-handed stitching. So there's a lot less movement involved. I'm using a loop start because I'm doing 2 strands over my Ada. I went for a kit because I have next to no embroidery cross-stitch stash at the minute, and because I haven't done anything for quite a while, so rather than going out and buying things individually, it was easier to just buy a kit. I do have Ada upstairs in different colours in my stash, but I went for a kit instead, and this is the kit. So that is what my project is going to be looking like when it's finished. I am currently working on this section here, and I've been eyeing up this on Amazon for a long time. The other thing I want to talk about before I show you my spinning working project is a new rabbit hole that I've fallen down. I've not got the objects to show you. The reason for that will become clear in a minute. I have fallen a little bit down the diamond painting rabbit hole. Whilst I've been looking on Amazon and AliExpress and eBay and all that sort of stuff for cross-stitch kits, these diamond painting things kept coming up and coming up and coming up because they are being billed as a cross between paint by numbers and cross-stitch. They're not a cross between paint by numbers and cross-stitch. They are highly meditative and a lovely craft to do, but there's very little relationship to cross-stitch going on. There is a tendency to use the DMC colour codes to describe the colours of the diamonds. I say diamonds, they're little resin tiles. They either come in squares or circles. You get a canvas with your project printed on it, so like a symbol chart like you would get in cross stitch, but it's not a separate symbol chart that you're then counting out. It's like when you first learn to cross stitch and embroider and you get those little kiddie kits and it's printed on it and you just stitch over the colours. That's basically what it is, but in a mosaic form. So forget the embroidery cross stitch connection, it's mosaic by numbers. That is what it is, and it's highly meditative. I'm really enjoying it. My other half has got into it as well, so I will put a photo up here of my one completed diamond painting, and I will put a photo up after it of my diamond painting that is in progress at the moment. I'm doing 2 full coverage ones. Well, my first one was a full coverage one with square diamonds, or square drills as they call them in the diamond painting world, because obviously all crafts have their own terminologies. And my second one is round one. The one I'm working on at the moment is a full coverage, but it's round drills. Basically the canvas is sticky, you peel it back a bit and you stick them on. So I didn't want to sort of lift them up and show you. I haven't fully finished the first one and sealed it and framed it, so I don't want to be sort of waving it around all over the place. Plus I wasn't sure how the light would deal with it because they're quite shiny, and obviously my one that's in progress, I'm still working on it. Sticky stuff and diamonds, and yeah, we're not going to hold up like that, just to be on the safe side. But let me know down below if you're interested in finding out more about diamond painting, and I can certainly cover that a little bit. My other half is working through his first diamond painting, which is this one, and he has one in stash. So my other half's getting a stash now. Okay, so my other work in progress that I said I was going to talk to you about before we move on to Stashquisitions is spinning. I am currently in the early stages of a sweater spin on my drop spindle. This is something I'm doing as part of the Smell 2019, hashtag Smell 2019, being run by Knitting Expat and Grace of Babbles Travelling Yarns. So for the first 3 months you're spinning, and then for the next 3 months you're making something with hand spun. So if you're not a spinner yet, I do encourage you to give it a go. It doesn't have to be expensive. I am currently spinning up some merino bamboo that I got from Freya Jones. So this is what I've spun so far, and from that particular piece of roving I've got that much left to spin onto it. Once I've done that, I will be doing another basic spindle spinning video. By the way, this other thing that's in here is that's my wraps per inch gauge. But this isn't the only thing that I'm spinning for that project. This is just the first one. I also have 4 more of the same fibre. So this is merino bamboo in the St Osgith colourway from Freya Jones. You're looking at probably about somewhere between £3 and £5 for 100 grams of fibre that's commercially blended from a lot of places. So it doesn't need to be expensive. Whilst I have proper bought spindles, they don't need to be expensive either. You can make them out of CDs and sticks or pencils or fidget spinners. One of my friends from my virtual knit night that I do has made some with polymer clay. It doesn't need to be expensive. So I'm going to be spinning up, this is kind of work in progress and planned together really. So I'm going to be spinning up all 5 of these, so I'm nearly at the end of the first one. So that's actually about a sweater's quantity for me. Hopefully more, because I've also got from Freya Jones this merino silk, again similar sort of price, between £3 and £5 ish for 100 grams of fibre. So that is a potential contrast colour for my St Osgith. This is in the Mary Shelley colourway, so it's purples and greys. And bit of Russell, it's in a plastic bag. I've shown you these before. I also have my Cat and Sparrow Dark Sansa, which is a potential contrast colour depending on how they spin up for the St Osgith. So I am hoping to get something in the vein of a Zweig out of my spin, which is interesting because I struggle to get fingering weight yarn, I struggle to get consistent yarn, and I'm on a drop spindle. And I'm looking at spinning up 600 to 700 grams of fibre. Spinning might take over from everything else for a while, but I am really, really interested in how actually the fibre is spinning up. If you look at the fibre before I've spun it, you can see the pinks and the blues and the browns in it quite distinctly. There we go. See, that's quite accurate. And then once it's spun up, it's turned into this sort of, it's got a mauve overall appearance to it. You can, when you look closely, see the blues and the pinks and things in it, but it is very much sort of mauve overall effect to it. So that is my works in progress / spinning plans. And once I finish this video and I have it edited and everything, I'm going to be finishing spinning that up so that I can then film my next spinning video, which is going to be 2-ply again, but it's going to be a different way of achieving the 2-ply. So those of you that are following along with the basic spindle spinning, it is another way that you can achieve the same sort of yarn as we did in the second video. I am going to need to go hold of some more fibre, I think, to do the chain ply for you. We'll see how the Mary Shelley and the Dark Sands are spin up, because I may decide to chain ply one of those. We will see. So moving on to Stashquisitions. I've obviously shown you already my stand, but I have some yarn to show you that I have picked up for some design projects. I'm not going to show you my more recent Minerva fabrics because they are in the wash at the minute. But yeah, I've got a couple of fabrics from Minerva again this month, so we will see. I'll let you know once they've been knitted up into something. So a couple of design projects, you will see a colour theme going on. So this is Stashquisitions and plans. First up, I have some Holst Garn. Hopefully the colours are showing up there. Two of them are looking very similar at the minute, but they are actually different. This is not Holst Super Soft, which is what this is knitted out of. This is Holst Noble, which is a 95% Geelong wool, 5% cashmere. So I have started swatching with this for a design project. I'm not going to show you the swatch, A, because it's not finished, and B, because it's a design that I'm hoping to have out for testers mid to late summer so that I can get it released in the autumn, end of summer into the autumn. That'll be a sweater. So I have this colourway, which is Flint. I have this colourway, which is Charcoal. Hopefully, we'll get some more like that. Hopefully that's showing up. It's a dark grey. And then I have Jasper, which is this colourway here. So it's a nice burgundy. It's showing up quite black on my monitor at the moment. Hopefully it's showing up better for you. One of the things I really like with the Holst yarns is that their solid colourways aren't truly solid. They're kind of heathered colours, so they are quite interesting to knit with. I've noticed whilst I've been knitting this up that yes, it does still have the spinning oil in it, but it is a softer knit than when you are knitting with the whole super soft knitting in the oil. So yes, it will still need washing thoroughly when I first block it to get that out, but it is a more pleasant knit. Not that I minded knitting with the whole super soft, but you could feel the oil. It felt crunchy, it felt greasy. This doesn't so much whilst you're knitting it. The other Stashquisition that I've got, which is a related design idea. This is going to be a sock design, to be my first sweater design, first sock design. Same sorts of colours, but this is actually yarn that I bought from Hobby. So I actually got two deliveries from Denmark in the same week. So this is 75% superwash, 25% nylon. I don't know what sort of superwash, it just says superwash wool. Designed in Scandinavia, made in Asia. It's the Hobby Happy Feet XL. So it is quite a plump. I'll just get one strand over my finger away. My finger. It's quite a plump sock wool. So I've got the dark grey, I've got the burgundy, and I've got more of a sort of light grey cream colour for the socks. But there will be two related designs. The socks, I'm not quite sure when I'll get them out because I'm obviously knitting a lot of socks at the moment, so probably after Sock Madness. So over the summer at some point I'll get them out for testing, ready to release, probably the same sort of time as the sweater. So that's those. And I think that's everything. Just having a quick check around. Yep, that's everything. So general updates, moving forward plans and so on. The Mother's Love cowl is available on Ravelry, as you know, because I obviously did an announcement when that went up. And if you follow my Instagram, which is Zosie Mosey, you will probably have seen me announce that it was also available on Love Knitting. So if you are not on Ravelry and you want to knit the Mother's Love cowl, which is here, then you can go to Love Knitting and get it there. Same price. There's no difference in how I'm pricing things on the two websites. It just takes a little bit longer to get the patterns onto Love Knitting than it does onto Ravelry, because Love Knitting do a quality check before they make the pattern live, which is great. I mean, obviously, by the time you release a pattern as a designer, you will have, hopefully, at least test knitted it, and hopefully had it tech edited as well. I mean, I was really fortunate with the Mother's Love cowl that some of my test knitters should be tech editors. They were absolutely amazing. For those of you that are new, the Mother's Love cowl is my first ever design. It's a DK weight bandana cowl that I released for Mother's Day in the UK, which was back in March. Obviously I know it's a different day in other countries. I knitted it up originally as a present for my mother for Mother's Day. And basically my opinion is, I'm I'm knitting it anyway, I'm having to work out how to do it, I may as well make it available for other people. So that's my first ever pattern release, and I am planning a few more projects, a few more patterns to come out. Obviously I've got the sweater and the socks, I've got some shawl ideas in mind, so do keep an eye on the You So You designer page on Ravelry, and I will be putting them up onto Love Knitting as well now that I know how to do that. But they'll probably come out on Ravelry first, just because it's a quicker process to do that. Videos wise, I am enjoying doing the tutorial style of videos, and you guys seem to be loving them as well, so there'll be more of those to come, as well as the updates. I haven't really got a proper schedule as to when I release them, kind of depends on how the week goes as to when I get filming, but I am aiming to get at least a couple of videos out every month, hopefully one a week, but sometimes it's every other week. So do the stuff down there that lets you know when stuff comes up if you want to see more. I will be making sure that I've got a spinning playlist in my channel. I am hoping to get some more weaving videos done as well, because I know those are harder to find. For those of you that don't know, I have an inkle loom, which is the way you do the long thin bands. And yes, there are videos out there of people using inkle looms, but they're not really the basic beginners in the style that I find helpful to me. Because they're quite old, quite frankly, a lot of them, there aren't very many new videos coming up for the inkle loom. There is a very active group on Facebook for inkle band weaving, so the resources are out there. I feel like they need a little bit of a revamp. And my my inkle loom videos were very well received by you guys, so I am planning to do more of those. I am hoping to do some more on my frame loom as well, which is sat in the naughty corner at the moment because I warped it up with the wrong thickness of yarn, and I've been doing the weft with the wrong thickness of yarn for the effect that I wanted, so it is in the naughty corner for now. One day I would love to get a rigid heddle loom. I do have a heddle, a heddle, it's like a bit of wood heddle, to use on a backstrap loom, so we'll probably do some more of that at some point. And there will be more sewing as well. I've got loads of projects lined up for sewing, but I really just need to knuckle down and get on with it. So yeah, let me know down below if there is any particular techniques that you would like to see sewing wise. Let me know down there if you would like to see more of the diamond painting. And otherwise, until next time, have a great week, have a great crafting, make what you love what you make, and I will see you next time. Bye bye!